What's up, everybody? This is Whiskey in the Six. I'm your not so articulate whiskey reviewer, Rob. I have another Scotch for you guys today. It's the Glenlivet Founders Reserve. This one was named after George Smith, who is the founder of the Glenlivet company, distillery, whatever. This one came out recently. I would say the last couple of years. This particular bottle is bottled in 2015. I think it might have actually come in early 2015, late 2014, to be honest with you. A lot of people don't know this, but this one is put in place now to replace the 12-year-old. The 12-year-old, whatever is left in stores, and there's a ton of stock still left, but once it's gone, it's going to be gone for good. They're not going to be making the 12-year-old anymore, and they're replacing it with the Founders Reserve. It's a no-age statement, bottled at 40%. It's a few dollars cheaper than the 12-year-old. This one goes for about $53 in the LCBO, about 40 pounds in various websites in the UK. So the price, you can't really get, it's actually more expensive if I were to buy this in the UK than if I were to buy it in Ontario. And for whatever reason, Glenlivet seems to be roughly the same price from Canada to the United States. It's the one Scotch that seems to maintain a similar price around the world. This particular bottle was loaned to me by my brother-in-law Paulo, so thank you very much, Paulo. The good news about the 12-year-old being no longer made and this one replacing it is, in my opinion, and of course, like I say always, I'm just one guy and it's just my opinion, I believe this is better, okay? It's aged in first fill American oak. I believe it's bourbon American oak. But it's 100% first fill American oak for sure. It is pretty smooth, pretty buttery, and a fairly good price for what you're getting. Okay, so I'm gonna get right to it today. It's, in my guess, based on the taste and a few other factors, I'm gonna say this is probably about, on average, about 10 years old. Maybe there's some 12-year-old whiskey in there. There's probably some 7 or 8-year-old whiskey in there as well. It can go as low as 3 years old, as long as it was aged and barreled in Scotland, which of course this is. So there could be 3-year-old whiskey in there. That's not illegal, all right? That's why a lot of these companies are opting to go with the no-age statement whiskeys, because they can use their younger stock and not have to wait 12 years to put out stock. Okay, signature Glenlivet smell to it. Ton of apple, ton of pear, very fresh. Okay, you line this up side by side with the 12-year-old and you're gonna pick up a ton of similarities. Okay, what I will say is this one, even though it's probably a bit younger, does taste a bit more refined. That's probably because it's 100% first fill American oak. It's first fill. Okay, so that means that the barrels are as new as you're gonna get them. When Scotch companies, it's very rare that Scotch companies use virgin oak. So it's either aged with a type of wine or it's aged with bourbon. Bourbon has to be virgin oak in order, excuse me, in order for it to be considered bourbon. It's charred, and then right away the American whiskey's put in the barrel. So all these Scotch companies, whether they're getting the bourbon barrels or the sherry barrels or other types of wine barrels, they're taking them right after the barrel's built, the first session of wine or bourbon is in there, and then they get it next. So that's what you would consider first fill, when it's the next thing in that barrel. So for example, this Glenlivet Scotch was the next thing after either that bourbon or wine. Okay, that's first fill. Very long-winded explanation, but that's what it is. Okay, to the taste. This one's a lot more buttery than the Glenlivet 12-year-old. Glenlivet 12 is good, but it's paper thin. It doesn't have a very good mouthfeel to it. It's just, like I said, paper thin. Whereas this one, because it's in better oak barrels, in my opinion, it's getting that the larger viscosity. Let's put it that way. Okay, it's a lot more buttery. Get a ton of toffee. Okay, you're still getting that fresh apple, some fresh pear. There's a bit of a malty, grassy note on the palate, but a ton of toffee. It's very sweet. Not overly sweet, but it's a sweet whiskey. It's not bourbon sweet though. Bourbon tends to be a lot sweeter than Scotch for the most part. And now that I'm tasting the toffee, I'm also smelling the toffee as well. Okay. Toffee, apple, finishes kind of lingering still there. More of an alcohol feel to it. Good stuff. All around good stuff. For $53, it's worth it for an everyday dram. I still believe that the Tomatin 12-year-old is better in that price range. The Tomatin 12-year-old is $50 on the dot. This is $53, I believe. Both the Glenfiddich and Glenlivet 12-year-olds are about $57 or $58, and that's Canadian prices. That's Ontario prices. For whatever reason, Alberta seems to have way better prices than Ontario. I'm a little bit jealous because if I can venture out to Alberta with no exchange, I can get a lot cheaper whiskey. So hopefully I'll be able to do that at some point. But yeah, good stuff for the dollar. Is it amazing? It's not amazing. It's $53. You tend to realize, and that's a cheaper Scotch, believe it or not. I know $53 for Canadian whiskey drinkers and bourbon drinkers sounds like quite a bit of money. You can buy a Barter House 21-year-old for $100. Okay, it doesn't really sound fair when you're probably getting 7-year-old to 10-year-old whiskey in this. But Scotch prices are astronomical nowadays, and that's what you're paying. So that's your starter price, roughly between $40 and $50. That's the starter price. Okay, so I'm gonna give this a B. It's good stuff. It's better than the 12-year-old in my opinion. Probably even better than the Glenfiddich 12-year-old in my opinion. So definitely the better choice, and you get to save like $6 or $7. But if you can find the Tomatin 12-year-old, that one's even better than this. All right. Okay, so B. Guys, thank you very much. I've been getting quite a bit of subscribers lately. I want to thank all my subscribers. You guys are awesome. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be doing this. The main reason I'm doing this is to help people out so that when they go to the liquor store, they don't pay obscene prices for a bottle which they're hoping is going to be amazing and turns out to be junk and they wasted their money. Okay, most liquor stores won't take back a bottle once it's open. Some of the higher, like the LCBO for example, will take back certain whiskeys depending on certain things. Like if there's a little bit of cork damage, the LCBO will take it back. If it just tastes off, often if you can convince them enough, they'll take it back because they have a huge loss prevention cost, I guess, and that allows them to do that. but there's tons of downsides to the LCBO. That's probably one of the few positives. Okay, but that's my rant. Coming up, next up will be the Glenmorangie 18-year-old extra rare. Just a sample. I'm not gonna do the entire bottle because I'm gonna probably keep this bottle unless I can. We'll see. Probably keep it. I just recently opened up the Tomatin 18-year-old. Excellent stuff. I'll be doing this very soon. Have the Tobermory 10-year-old and a few others. So we have quite a good lineup coming up for the rest of the summer. All right. Add me on Instagram and Twitter, and also on Facebook. Like, subscribe, and please, if you have any questions, comment below. Cheers, guys.